As we read chapter 7 of the Cloven Viscount, it's important to me that you remember that this novel is an allegory. The people, the places, the things that happen in it, they are all symbolic, and we need to get some of the meaning of this story, in fact, the highest meanings from this story, from the allegory. This story takes place 400 years ago during these medieval wars between Christians and Muslims that happened in Italy. But really, the story is written right after World War II, and the horrors of war that are described in the story and the points that Italo Calvino is making about human nature, these are all for us. These are all for modern people in modern times. Chapter 7 begins with the narrator going to Pratofungo. That's the leper colony. And he's going there because Sebastiana has been sent there by Merdardo. On the way there, he comes across the leper Galateo. And when he meets Galateo, he tries to talk to him, but of course Galateo wants nothing to do with children. He's used to children teasing him, and so he makes his escape. On the way there, we encounter this character who has a woolly white beard. The man with the woolly white beard is just one of many of the lepers that the narrator, and remember, he's only like 7 or 8 or 9 years old, that he runs across in the forest. The lepers sort of seem like they belong in the forest. They sort of seem like they are part of nature, but they are also hearing this musical call back to Pratofungo. And so he follows this group of them as they move back to this leper colony. One of the women, or one of the lepers, is a half-dressed woman with mauve marks on her face and breasts. And she is calling to the other lepers saying, "The gardeners are back." And she was playing a lyre. That's that musical instrument. Sometimes in art you see angels playing a lyre. It's also a sort of a symbol of music and poetry. The lepers start putting on a concert, and to the narrator's point of view, and remember, it's limited, he's just a little boy, but it seems to him like the concert is in his honor. And they repeat this line, "Stainless was he till he went out to Blackberry." Now, I didn't understand what that line meant when I first read this, but something is stainless if it is innocent, if it is pure. And I don't know if you've ever eaten blackberries before, but especially if they're ripe and just the berries, you're going to get stains on you. I think this is a symbol. This is a book about a boy who loses his innocence. This novel, all of it, is a Bildungsroman. It is about a young, innocent boy who at the very end of this book will lose that innocence. Now, here he is in the leper colony, and he is about to actually be witness to an orgy. But while the lepers are having this orgy, they're playing music and they are singing, and they repeat that phrase, "Stainless was he till he went out to Blackberry." Now, on one level, this symbol might mean that he's in Blackberry now. He's seeing this orgy, and so he's losing his innocence. But really, I think the whole book is about the narrator losing his innocence, especially when you'll especially know that I'm right when you read the ending. We're going to find out that Sebastiana is living with the lepers, and she's putting stuff on her face to make her look like a leper, but she's very witty, she's very smart, and she knows how to avoid this disease. Now, I want you to notice how in books, sometimes there's a space between the paragraphs. That means we're going to have a change in setting. It's a different place, a different time, but it's still in the same character. After this first scene split, one of the things that happens is we have a parallel scene. Earlier in the book, the boy was sitting at the beach fishing for eels, or maybe he was catching crabs, And the evil Medardo came up to him. Well, now the evil Medardo has come up to him again, except it's not the evil one. This one is the good one. And we know he's the good one because he has saved the little boy from a spider bite. Now he tries to tell the little boy that he saved him from a spider bite and that the spider has bitten his hand, but the little boy doesn't believe him. He doesn't know or doesn't understand that he is talking to the left half, the good half of the Viscount. And this is the moment when the good half of the Viscount actually enters the story. This Viscount looks different than the evil Viscount. Well, first of all, it's the left side of the man, not the right side. He also wears like a rustic coat, and he looks like he's more of a nature buff. He has leaves in his hair, and he belongs more outside. The narrator tells Sebastiana about coming across the Viscount and about how his left hand was swollen. Sebastiana believes that the little boy must be just mistaken, because she knows that the left hand of the Viscount doesn't exist. She doesn't know that the good half has showed up. But we do figure that out later on in the story. The little boy runs across the evil count, and he offers to help the evil count with his bitten hand. Of course, the evil count doesn't know what he's talking about, but the evil count does trick the little boy into sticking his hand into a beehive, and he has to run away and swim away to save himself. The good Viscount goes around doing good things, as you would expect. One of the good things he does is he saves the doctor from drowning. And then the doctor starts doing some interesting things, which aren't really in his character. It says he starts studying a treatise on human anatomy, and we don't really know why he's doing that, but it's going to be important at the end of the story. What you'll see in this chapter are several examples of how the good Viscount is going around trying to fix the evils that are done by the evil Viscount. The other thing that happens that I think is interesting is the good Viscount runs across Pamela. Now remember, the evil Viscount has decided that he's in love with Pamela, and the good Viscount falls in love with Pamela too. I really love Pamela. She's this woman out in nature with her duck and her goat, and yet there's a wisdom about her that's, you have to look very careful to see it, but it really is there. For example, she's one of the first ones to actually articulate, "Oh, you're the good Viscount." She recognizes him and she understands the truth of the situation. We get this little bit of a flashback to the people who saved the Viscount. And we can't tell if they were Christians or Muslims or necromancers. It's an interesting thing that Calvino is saying about religion here, but I'm gonna leave that to you to figure out. Towards the end of the chapter, Medardo says this to Pamela. He says, "Oh, Pamela, that's the good thing about being halved. One understands the sorrow of every person and thing in the world and its own incompleteness. I was whole and did not understand, and moved about deaf and unfeeling amid the pain and sorrow all around us, in places where as a whole person one would least think to find it. It's not only me, Pamela, who am a split being. You and everyone else too. Now I have fellowship which I did not understand, did not know before, when whole, a fellowship with all the mutilated and incomplete things in the world. If you come with me, Pamela, you'll learn to suffer with everyone's ills and tend your own tending theirs." The good Viscount is offering Pamela a life where she can go with him and be happy, and they'll find their happiness by doing good for other people. And then it says what I think is the most important line in the whole book. He says to the woman that he loves, now this is the good Viscount, he says to her, "Doing good together is the only way to love. I think that's probably one of the most important themes in any book anywhere.